having Julia doing all the technical things. So Arpine, Maté, and Robert, who wants to start? Anyone?
I can start if no one else wants. Did you want to go first, Maté? No? Okay. Then I have a small presentation slides, which I will share with you. And yeah, and about 5-7 minutes of a presentation. So there are two ideas which I will share today. And one of them is called an insect hotel, how to make an insect hotel. And the second thing is really free market. This is how it's called. Okay, so insect hotels. This might seem something really strange when I first saw it somewhere in Europe and had no idea why people would make something for the insects, because it seems they are already quite many in the world and they are not so nice. Like, we don't like bugs all over. And some of you might remember that years ago, like if you were driving, especially in the countryside, then there would be lots of bugs on the forefront window of your car, while now there are really not so many. And although we really don't like mosquitoes and stuff like that, the insects are so important for the pollination of the plants, and we can't really live without the pollinators, and that's why the bees are called the most important animal in the world, right? Yeah, so insect hotels are a way how we help the pollinating insects to spend their winter and to how is it called when they have more babies and in the safe environment, especially in the winters, and then in their turn they help our gardens, because later they will pollinate the plants and we will have really big crops, or we will have beautiful flowers, etc. So this is the reason. And to make it is very easy. I mean, we make it from, one could make it from everything that you have at your hands. And for example, you could take a little box. I will go 2 slides back, and here on the left side, for example, you see the example that I made together with some students in a school where we work together with my friends. So it's basically making things which have holes, natural materials which have holes, and where the insects can go and put their eggs, yeah, and it will be warm in the winter. So for that, I mean, if one of you decides to really do it, it's very easy to find a lot of YouTube tutorials. But generally it's quite easy finding a box, making different sections of it, and then putting different things, either making holes in the bricks, or in the wooden bricks, or putting straws, leaves, etc., etc. Like, you can really be creative there. Yeah, and there are some, yeah, I just want to show different examples. For example, this is something really huge and made with everything, I guess, one found in their garden. So they found 4 or 5 pallets, and then they put a lot of like pine things and some bricks and like whatever they found. It's important that they have holes and that there is no rainfall or snow on it, so the bugs will find their place afterwards. It can also be something really tiny. For example, see, it's just a little box and they put these branches with the holes inside it. In some cases you can put it on the ground, but also you need to be careful, because in some gardens you have other animals who can prey for the bugs. For example, in our garden we had hedgehogs, and that's why we put it a bit high. So you can, for example, also hang it on the tree, or just make it a bit high on the feet. and then the insects will be safer. And here I wrote a few things which one should take into consideration just to avoid mistakes. So the first point is wrong filling materials. And here on the picture, you can see pieces of wood which are cracked. Like this is really not a good idea because it's going to harm the wings of the insect. So we need to think to have in mind that they have very gentle wings, and all the holes that we make need to be really nicely done so that we don't hurt their wings. Yeah, using of softwood is not a good idea. Better to use hardwood. And never make glass walls, although you might want to see what's happening inside, but glass gets very warm in the sun and it will just like destroy the, the system inside and the eggs of the insects. It's also important not to move the house once you have made it. So just put it there and forget about it. It can be in a cozy corner of your garden. It can also be, it can be in the city. You don't have to have a big garden, but it's good if so this last point is about food supply. So it's good if the house, if the insect hotel is in a place where the insects can easily find food. So it means there are flowers nearby or some kind of plants. So this wrong location is the right location is basically a way which is facing the south. There needs to be some sun and warmth. And of course, be careful of predators. If there are cats, hedgehogs, other things in the area, then it's better to make it a little bit high. And it's good to make a fence, like a metal fence, which you see in this picture. And then it's less likely that the predators will go inside and eat all our insects when they are sleeping in the winter. Yeah, this was it. I don't know if I shall take questions now or later we do the discussion. Sophia, maybe later? What is better?
I'm thinking if there's any like specific questions around like the insect hotel, we can take them now.
Yes, okay. So
Yeah.
if you have specific questions, please go ahead.
Olivia.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing to do, and yeah, I think it's really good presentation. I was just I heard from a botanist last year that sometimes the people drill holes in the logs and they drill it too short. So they said that keep in mind if you doing this drilling, they have to be long. So they have a long way to go into it because they also the birds they should be attracted for the birds. So it's not just like a small little hole, but it's like far into the log. But that's all.
Thanks for mentioning that. And also don't drill up to the end. So the end part needs to be closed. The back of the hotel needs to be closed. Yeah, thanks, Olivia. Anything else? No. Okay, it's also really cool to do it with children. For example, this one we made with like 10, 12-year-olds, and they were really excited to go and find the materials. And like, of course, you can have the materials ready, but it's also fun to go and search for the materials and then fill it up. And even a really small insect hotel takes a lot of time with filling. It might seem it's nothing, but it takes a lot of materials to fill it in. Okay, and the next one is an event, let's say an event, which is called really free market. This is something, again, quite popular in many places. In Yerevan, we have been doing it, like I was part of different collectives who made this free market. And also we did add alternative 2 or 3 times. And this is a great way against this Black Fridays and the crazy shopping, because the really free market is actually an event and a space where you give others stuff which you have but you don't need, and also you take from others, and everything is for free. You can give without taking, and you can take without giving. It's not necessarily an exchange. It's just a way where, and often in Armenia, like, we have an experience of giving things to people who are in need, who are poor, etc. That's why it has been a bit complicated in the beginning, because people who have money, they think they shouldn't take. But I think now it has changed. So this is more a community event, not a charity event. We all are there to share stuff and not to buy. The first thing which is good is that it is completely for free. And of course, you also try to find a space which gives you their space for free. Better not to pay for it. It can be inside as well as outside, and especially like here when we are doing, there is a lot of clothing, and we also usually try to have a room where people can change or try things on if they want. So this is something to consider. The other good thing is about the connection, because like in the normal shop, when you go there, you just take it, measure it, and buy it and go. And here people bring it. So like you like the jacket or you like the plant, and you start talking to with the person who brought it. They tell the story, and sometimes there are several people who like the same thing, and they discuss who needs it more, etc. And it's really fun to have that connection, and not just obtaining stuff or giving it. The second thing is that it's like, although there is an organizing team, at least one or two people, but everyone who is there, they are somehow shaping the event. Every now and then you need to go and make a place tidy, and you can discuss where to put these things, where to put the plants, where to put the books, whether we should replace them, blah blah. So it's even if people come for half an hour, they can just still do something for co-organizing and not be a consumer there. And also several times we did with simultaneous events. So there was the market, there was a concert next, just in the same place in one corner of it, especially when it's open space. Some people might come with a kitchen, for example. Some people could organize a repair workshop next to it. So all sort of anti-capitalist and non-money involving events can be co-hosted in the same area. One can bring anything, at least in the markets which we organize, you could bring anything. And some examples are clothing, houseplants, books, board games, toys, stationery, instruments, accessories, furniture, kitchen supplies, spices. You can also come without bringing anything and just look if you like something and take something. That's fine. Yeah, and the last slide, I think, is what you need to organize it. You need a space, obviously. It can be inside or outside. So we usually make it like a one-time event, 3 or 4 times every year when the seasons are changing. We need a space and some furniture in the space because we want to put stuff on a table or hangers, these kind of things. Better if it has a bathroom or a change room. If it's outside, it can be also, let's say, a cafe or a house nearby where you agree that people can go to the bathroom if they wish, if at least the organizing team. The second thing is important, that there is an organizing team, because you need to make an event, you need to invite people, answer to questions, put the stuff together, etc. And the organizing team can also be like 2 or 3 people. This is enough. It can also be bigger. You obviously need an outreach, so it's better to make posters, make a public event, and invite people online or offline, depending, like, as you like. And an important tip is that think about the leftover stuff, because in our cases, mostly there is something left after the market which nobody took. And in this case, we like talk to organizations who who help poor people or like different groups, and or who recycle stuff, for example, and then we take all the leftover to them. Yeah, this is also something to think about, because you might end up not knowing what to do after the event. And then I put also a link of one of the events, because the invitation text is there. And if you want, I can also put this presentation in the Slack, and you can use the text in the event if some of you decide to do it. Yeah, this was my last slide. So if you have questions, we can discuss the questions. And I will stop sharing. I hope it was not too long, sorry. Yeah, I see Rex has a question.
Yep, thanks for sharing, Arpine. That was really nice. Just a quick one. What do you do with the things that are not taken during this clothes swap? Let's say
Yes,
after
so
the event, a lot of things are left, yeah.
usually in advance, we speak with organizations who are giving charity to other people. There are several. This is one option. And we have lists of a few organizations who usually collect clothes or other things and just give charity. One option is this. The other option is recycling organizations. For example, if there is clothing which is like not so nice, in not good shape, we give it to an organization which recycles and makes some other things out of those clothes. Yeah, better to think about it in advance. In Yerevan, mostly the leftover things are clothes. If there are books left over, we have, for example, small libraries in the streets. We put the books there, but you can also donate to a city library, a school, or like depending from what kind of institutions are there. Yeah, this is it. Yes, the local orphanage could like to take some clothes, that's true. Yeah, also people can take back, like sometimes I take things which I really like, and if nobody takes them, I take them back. No problem, I keep using them.
Thank you, Arpine. That was great and very inspiring as well. Should we move on to Maté or Robert?
I'm happy to continue. I'm also going to share my screen. Cool. So I am the host of the literal makerspace in Boigo. And so I'm going to talk to you about a few of the workshops I have already done here and the ones I find the most interesting. And I will also mention some other ideas. So I'm a carpenter, and I really wanted to find some way to use this knowledge for sustainable making. And the best thing I have come up with so far, well, one of the best things is just repairing furniture. If you ever have any kind of questions about repairing furniture, I'm very happy to answer those questions. But it is also possible to make sustainably with wood, or like, it's possible. It's not necessarily easy. And like this workshop is organized around creating nesting boxes or like bird houses for different kind of birds. And it has two important parts. Like, first of all, the participants who come don't have to know anything about woodworking. They never have, usually many people who come never sewed anything before in their life, or maybe they never even drilled a hole. So they can learn a lot of basic but very exciting skills, basically to make a box. But in the case of these workshops, these boxes are also very useful for birds. And like the second part of the workshop. I mean, it's not the second part of the workshop, but the second important aspect of this workshop is that we make different kinds of nesting boxes. The one you can see on the left are really good for black red stars, but we also make these more conventional looking ones. You can see on my video, which are better for like coltids or some other small birds. So a really important part of this workshop is that I really encourage all the participants to figure out what kind of birds are living close to them or wherever they can set up the bird nests. And so really this workshop is only the beginning of their journey with getting to know the nature around them a little bit better. And that is why I also included this logo on the left side above the nest, because it is the logo of a huge ornithological organization in Hungary. And the reason this workshop is functional is because they are sharing, and I'm using their knowledge basically, which is Hungary specific, and also like they have a lot of details about what kind of bird nests are good for what kind of birds and how to install them. And I really encourage all the participants to reach out to them or to just look at their public sites and learn a lot about this. But already they have a good experience of making something which they probably didn't think was possible for them.
Maté, could you change the
I think we
slide?
are saying the same, yeah.
Because we're seeing the first slide. We're not seeing the slide on birdhouses.
Oh, well, that's weird. Are you still seeing the first slide?
Yeah, and we don't see it in presentation mode.
Oh, okay.
Now it's the second one on birdhouses.
Okay, well, maybe then I don't really know how to. Well, okay, then I'm not going to go into presentation mode because I don't know how to do it.
Now we see the birdhouses.
Yeah, so here you can see the birdhouse and people.
If I can jump in, Maté, can you hear me? If I can jump in, just on the right side at the back, you have the percentages, like 82%, and there is a sign next to it. If you look at it, just on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yep. Come back. Yeah, and put this.
Yeah, but if I put it into, are you now seeing the presentation?
Yep, we will see. We were supposed to see the presentation if you were just.
Yeah, but I was in that mode before.
Okay.
So
sorry,
I saw the presentation in very nicely, but you didn't. I don't. So probably I should change which window I'm sharing, but that's a little bit more complicated than I can figure out right now. Okay, so here you can see the pictures finally. And also you can see the picture of the organization I mentioned. Okay, cool. So I'm not going to go into details, but if some of you are interested in that, I can send you all the details of everything I'm going to mention today. So another interesting workshop is very different. This doesn't require any high-level skills. It's not even about the physical making skills. It's about the engineering design process. This was actually inspired by Ubuntu Hub because they have a design thinking training for activists. And I don't know design thinking, but I know a lot about the engineering design process. So I thought I can make something similar. And NASA actually has a very good guide for educators how to teach about the engineering design process, which is really a few simple steps to use creativity to solve any kind of problems. And so here the task was to create a balloon rocket. Balloons are not really environmentally friendly, but all other parts of the workshop can be made environmentally friendly. but they are really fun. So there was like a 20 meters long string, and they had to make the rocket go as far as possible. There was also a little guy who they had to like make sure can travel with the rocket. And everything was space themed. So it had a nice story around it. But really the interesting part was that there were a lot of limitations of what kind of materials they can use, how much time they have, and how much time they have to attach their rocket to the string and then like launch it or let it go. And then we measured how far it went. But like the important part was not only to figure out how to do that, but also to then improve on what they have already done. And people work in small groups. And in the first round, all of the groups, or none of the groups managed to even move 1 meter, or like none of their rockets moved even a centimeter. But in the end, most of the groups got above 10 meters, which was pretty impressive and also a lot of fun for them. But really the important thing here is that they didn't only learn about this process, which is not very complicated, but they also got to experience it and do a lot of experiments and reiterate on it. So these were the 2 most exciting workshops I wanted to show you, but there are also a few other things I would love to mention. On the right, you can see pictures of paper recycling at home, or like at Boygo in this case, which doesn't really make sense because like industrial paper recycling is much more efficient and produces nicer paper, but it is a lot of fun. It is also very good for small children, and also it really gives you a strong feeling that it is very simple to recycle paper. So therefore, it is stupid to throw it away. That's very basic, but this just strengthens that feeling. And I also wanted to show you some other things I have nothing to do with, but are pretty cool and happened in Boygo. On the left side, on the upper left side, you can see that last Friday we had a board game night, which was also connected to, I mean, we didn't only play board games, but there also was a possibility to learn crochet, to doing crochet and like crochet. I don't know how that verb works in English, but we did that, and it was a very simple. I mean, it was simple to set up, and it was a lot of fun, and people really enjoyed it. And also sometimes we also have these really free markets, but only for clothes. And one time we had a group of young people who have a small company help us create these small like graphics onto already used shirts, which was pretty cool, and we are going to have that again. So I wanted to show these things because these are somewhat more simple, but I think are also inspiring. And that was all. So thank you for your attention. And do you have any questions? Audrey?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation. I wanted to know, when it comes to transforming paper, were you also doing papier-mâché? I don't know if you know that.
No.
Okay.
For papier-mâché, you need some kind of glue. I mean, you can use, it's also very natural, but it can be. But we didn't use any kind of glue. And basically, if you break down paper, and then it will stick to itself without anything. And Arpine?
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Maté. Very cool presentation. I want to ask about the birds houses, and I heard that this hole you need to be really precise when making the size of the hole, because otherwise the birds won't go if any bigger birds can come in and eat, like prey for them. How do you find out these sizes?
So basically by consulting this organization of like ornithological
yes, okay.
But they are really huge and they're really friendly and they really encourage you. But yeah, it's very important to figure out exactly what kind of birds are you making this house for. And there will be very specific details for every kind of bird. So you also need to know what lives around you. And so but that's important.
Thanks.
Are there any more questions? Okay. Oh, Olivia?
Yeah, I just wanted to contribute to the bird box deep idea. We also have a lot of bats around here in Stockholm that needs shelter. So in the nearest forest where we work, very close to it, there's also this things for the bats because they have more problem of going around. And there's also what I learned in Årsta, where I live, is that it's also good to contact with the authorities if they have like a program for the bats. If you have bats that need to be protected, we ours apparently need to. That they also have to change like the light bulbs, that they can't just have some specific light bulbs, that they should have a red light where they live. So that's also one thing, that if you have any other animal flying around that needs to be protected, because the bats, they have not a hole, but they have like, they slide in under, that it's flat, and then there's like a hole that they slide in that way and hang themselves upside down. So.
Yeah, and the same organization actually has designs for bats as well, but also for mouses and hedgehogs even, and like they also have designs for the like insect hotels. But
Cool. Thank you so much, Maté.
Thank you.
That was a really nice presentation. Wow. Robert, do you want to go ahead as well?
Okay, I'll go straight to it. Let me share my screen. Yeah. Are you guys able to see my presentation?
No.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Yet. How about now?
Yep.
Okay.
Now we can see it. Thank you.
So I'll be presenting for Ubunifu Hub. Yeah. I'll start by mentioning some of the making activities we've done here. We've done so many things, including paper mache crafts. I had Audrey asking about it. Also done bamboo, glass bottles, campaign banners, denim art, sustainable cooking, painting, beadwork, crocheting, string art, urban gardening, cloth repair, and skits and music performances. So just giving you an idea of how dynamic making can be. It doesn't have to be crafting physical materials. It could also be making music or art or even cooking. Yeah. So I'll just talk about two of the activities we've done here. The first one is bamboo crafts, which we've had a couple of sessions on at Ubunifu Hub. The one I remember most recently was last year during our Make Something event, when we invited the youth to come and make ships from bamboo. And we focused on this because bamboo is a very versatile material, and we realized that a lot of people, not just among our youth, but in Kenya in general, don't realize the usefulness of this material and how many ways it can be used. It can be used in even building. Some countries use it to make foundations for their houses, but it can also be used to make mats and crafts like the ones we made here. That is the ship. So while we were making the craft, we were also talking about the material, like just getting the learners to give us their ideas. And another interesting thing that came up was some of the learners made their own crafts outside of the session that we were in using some of the leftover materials. So some of them made planters, some of them made like kind of containers to put their toothbrushes in, which I think was really neat. Yeah. And another activity we did, which was super fun, was denim art. We did this during a session here at Ubunifu Hub that we call Creators Corner. We started that session to encourage our learners to have fun with making. So we realized a lot of our learners didn't enjoy making, or they saw it as a tedious task, or it required skills, and we were trying to find a way to make it fun and enjoyable for them. And this was our first session. We showed them how to use their waste denim materials, so like jean jackets, jean shorts, anything made of jeans. And they brought their own waste. So they brought their own old jackets or torn jean trousers and things like that. And we used them to make basically canvas for art. So we gave them frames and they added the material to the frames, and then they just drew their art on it. And during the session, we discussed fast fashion, just to try and tie the whole activity to climate justice and why it's important to find like useful ways to utilize your waste. And it was super fun. They came up with a lot of neat ways to use the materials that they brought in. Yeah. Some of the things that we've learned during our making sessions, just highlight a few. One is that learners who own the session enjoy it. So owning the session means that the learners take charge of it. And this can be in different ways. For example, for us, we basically just give whatever the learners make to them. So once they make a craft, they get to take it home with them. And this encourages them to really pay attention to what they're doing and to try and make something that they like, because they're going to go home with it. Another way you can get them to own the session is to involve them in planning, which I've had the other presenters talking about. So they involve some of the learners in the planning for the session, or they involve them in like helping out in taking charge of the session. And this also encourages them to be active during the whole session and enjoy it. Another thing we've learned is that practice is key for the trainers. So what this means is, if you're going to facilitate a making session, it's really important that you practice, especially if it's something you're not very familiar with. Practicing not only helps you to gain familiarity with what you're doing, but it also allows you to spot some of the questions you might be asked ahead of time by the learners and prepare to answer them. And it's something that we've had to learn kind of the hard way, that if you don't practice, a lot of mistakes will happen. You won't be able to answer for it. Another thing is that making should be fun. So the atmosphere or the environment during the session needs to be as lively as possible, as free as possible. Things like music, snacks really help to create this kind of mood. But also it's important to allow the learners to make mistakes as much as possible. So seriousness that maybe you would apply in other sessions should not be applied to this. Yeah, that's really important. The other thing is that mistakes are opportunities. We've also learned, this is a really fun thing about making activities. Any mistake that's made, or anything that you first think is a mistake, really ends up being an opportunity. So one example I'll give is, when we were doing paper mache crafting at first, we tried food dye, just experimenting with food dye as a paint. And we didn't like the color at first with some of the learners we were testing it with. But we tried to sand it off then. and it did not come off. And so we felt like this was ruined, decided to throw it away. But then we came back to that piece and just added some varnish and some other things just to try and tidy it up, and it ended up looking really nice. And actually now we used food color as a regular thing now, because we've realized what started as a mistake is actually what works really well now. Yeah, so that's just an example. But mistakes are always opportunities during making, and you always learn from it. And lastly, something that we've learned from making is that teamwork makes the dream work. So collaborative projects always work best. Projects with as many youth involved or as many people involved in planning are always going to have fewest mistakes, always going to be the most fun. Yeah. That's the last slide. And if anyone has any questions? Hey.
No questions for Robert? Thank you, Robert. I mean, thanks so much for these presentations. I think it was so cool to see like the wide range of activities that we are already doing in our different makerspaces. I think it was amazing. Yes,
One for Robert. Yeah, Robert, really nice presentation. So tell me, I was thinking like some of these, do you get to have all the trainers and learners to take this artwork back home? Or sometimes you see opportunity of actually doing an exhibition for some good pieces that people can come in and actually get, and the income goes back to the makers. Is that an opportunity that you see? Because it's really, really interesting.
Yeah, so far, the 2 sessions we've had in Creators Corner, we've let the learners take back home what they've created themselves. But we are planning for the next session to be like an exhibition kind of thing, like you've said. And the pieces that they'll make will remain here at the hub for any of the guests we have to come and see. We've also done like some projects with some of our learners that we've used during campaigns. So like art for artivism, and we have some of the pieces still here with us for anyone who comes to the hub to also enjoy it and interact with it. Yeah, so both of them work. Yeah, if you hold it at your hub for other people to come and see what your learners have done, it still encourages that kind of ownership, because yeah, anyone who comes to the hub will identify with it and feel like they own that project.
Yeah, but Rex, maybe to just add on, the intention is not to like make money out of it from our end. So the only thing is to be able to build the capacity of the makers. And then I think for this year's Make Something, we are actually planning to have an exhibition, which is more like a free market, like what Arpine showed. So maybe that can be an opportunity to just open up the space and show people their sustainable products, and then also encourage our participants to start thinking business, but then business in a sustainable way. But it's not for us to make income out of it. Thank you.
Thanks, Rose. I think I was talking of the income which goes back to the makers, the young people, but I really understand the objective is really nice. Not necessarily the center, but selling on their behalf.
Thank you. I think we have Esmeralda who joined the meeting as well. Esmeralda is part of the youth team in Momentum. I think this is the first meeting you're here, Esmeralda.
Yes, it actually is. I'm just going to walk past this loud car, so you can actually hear what I'm saying. Yes, so my name is Esmeralda. I am a youth leader in Momentum Hub, and I've been working there for 1 year now. And it's actually the first, or maybe the second time, I'm not sure, I'm joining this meeting. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here. I think it was a good, very nice presentation. Yeah, what else should I say? I'm unfortunately not so good at crafts, but I really want to learn more. I'm kind of more the logistic person in the team. Yeah, so that was very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Esmeralda. We are now going into breakout rooms. Sherry, you have raised a hand.
Yeah, I think it's just to, I just need to seek some clarity on what Rex asked. I'm not sure I understood if it was answered properly. And it's that aspect of, you know, when the youth come here and they develop certain skills and they want to turn that into a career or turn that into a business. So how does, maybe at Ubunifu, how is that supported? Because I had just before the meeting, I met a lady who had done very beautiful pieces of art, and Gerance actually purchased one piece. But then now the question is, for people who this is maybe a source of livelihood, or, you know, they'd want maybe more people to see their crafts, how to go about that? The income is not coming to the hub, but it's coming to them individually. Is there like an exhibition thing or plan? I think maybe that's what Rex was asking. I don't know.
I'll answer, but I hope Rose will also help me. I think I misheard Rex's question at first. So we do have a pillar, the innovation pillar at the hub, where it's one of the ways we train. It's just one of the ways, but we basically train the youth on things like green businesses for those who have their own or those who are planning to start. And we give them all these skills and insights on how they can set them up. So that's one of the ways we help. And we can also transfer this skill to any other youth who comes in and asks for it or shows interest in learning how they can start making a career or earning from whatever they're doing. The other way is, like Rose said, some of the events we have here. So we usually make it a priority to call on youth whenever we find an opportunity for them to actually sell their stuff or sell their craft or sell their skill during an event or something else where they can actually earn something. So we call upon them rather than maybe hiring someone external. Yeah, so that's just two of the ways I think we try to help. I don't know if Rose has any other. Yes.
No, I think you've exhausted. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really want to repeat, but yeah, like we said, we make it a priority for us to organize for exhibitions. So especially for this year, we are actually calling our Make Something theme Green Friday. So it's more like trying to counter the Black Friday practice that has always been there. But then this time we are trying to promote sustainable products, looking at the existing youth that we have trained, and they have the capacity and the ability to develop products. So these products can either be goods or services. And so this is an opportunity for them to come and showcase what they have developed. And then we also make it open where we will invite every other person, be it young or old, to come and see how sustainable products are, the quality, and also to be able to buy those products. So that's one of the ways of trying to promote green business. So it is a priority in Ubunifu. Yeah, thanks.
And I think it's, thank you for sharing. And I think it's important to keep in mind that this project is primarily focusing on environment and climate, and not on income generating activities, and the activities taking place in our makerspaces are to be free for the participants. But we can definitely support our participants, and we can also support them like who should they network with or where should they go. But it's not kind of in the project to promote like one specific artist selling his or her paintings, so to say. Do you kind of understand the difference? And I know this is challenging in many countries, especially where the youth unemployment is super high. So I know this is very different in different contexts as well. We have 15 minutes left. We're supposed to be going to breakout groups to both inspire each other of what kind of making you have done and also discuss a potential resource list. I think since we have limited time, I suggest that you focus on the second question on the resource list. Is that something that can be useful? And Julia has developed a format. Is that format good, or should it be done in any other way? So my suggestion is that you focus on the second question. Please open the link to the agenda with the notes so that you have it open, and make sure that one person in the group take notes so that you have your notes. I will send you out in groups of 3, I think, since we're limited on time. Are there any questions? No questions? Let's do it for 10 minutes, and then we have 5 minutes to wrap up. I hope this is working. It's my first time. So hope to see you back here in 10 minutes. Did you have good discussions? I can't see any notes. Did anyone take notes?
I think we were filling out the Excel form.
Yep. Robert,
I did take notes.
Yeah.
Did you take notes in the Word document, the agenda document?
No.
Okay. So that's why I can't see anything in the agenda document, because no one took notes there.
We didn't take either, but we had a feedback for it that it would be better to have like where you have the meeting notes, but one that is for Maker, and then we add pictures instead of an Excel, because it's easier to just look at the picture. Okay, you need this kind of stuff.
Sorry, I had some technical issues, so I
Oh, again.
yeah, please repeat.
Yeah, we proposed that it's better that we have, like where you have, in Notion, where you have the initiatives and you have the text instead of in an Excel, because it's easier to post, like, get this, like for the example of now with the, to make the insect hotel, that you post like, okay, you need these items and this is what you can do, that it should look like, and then just like a few lines, think of this thing. Because when it becomes text, you can misinterpret it, and so it's easier when you have photos. Like, so now when you have with your with the notes that you have, the weekly meeting notes, I mean, if you have one Excel and we can just like have a new line and then you can post that, and it can be just.
What do you mean with the weekly meeting notes?
Where you are writing the notes.
Yes.
That like you have a document like that, but for the inspiration.
Like a Word document.
Yeah, Word document, or I mean, we have maybe a page on Notion where you do like, here is your crafts, and we post, this is how you do this is how you do that. Because for an Excel, when you're going to be inspiring, you won't see the photo. Yeah.
Maté.
Yeah, thank you. That might be a good idea. I feel like it's very difficult to communicate like a making workshop in text, even in long form text. And that's why I feel like it's really amazing to have a contact person who you can actually, like, usually the devil is in the details with all of this stuff. So I think it's usually better to actually talk with someone than to have a long document. And therefore, like our suggestion, like our team's suggestion was that it would be nice to make this even more compact, and there are free columns. We don't feel very useful. Like, we don't feel like the target group and knowledge level and engagement level have much information, because we always do programs for youth that usually don't require any prior knowledge and are engaging. So.
Okay, so you would suggest to remove kind of those 3 columns, or
yeah.
This is great feedback. Did you also write down this type of feedback? Because this is like the type of feedback that I wanted to have.
I have written it down, but on paper. So I will write
but
it.
then just, I mean, share it to me in Slack.
Okay.
That would be great, because we are now leaving. Does everyone agree on that it would be better to have it like on Notion and fill it in on Notion instead of having an Excel file? Are there any other like preferences? Is there anyone who kind of prefers having it in Excel?
Notion would still have the list of every maker activity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could still be like a list on Notion.
Yeah, I think pictures is a good idea, what Olivia mentioned.
Yeah.
But also contact person is important. I agree with Maté as well.
Yeah.
I suggested also that maybe like in the end of projects, then maybe someone, I don't know, for a comms person, I don't know, Sherry, if you're here in the end of the project, hopefully, but maybe that person also can help, like taking all these things out and then make a small booklet that we all print and leave in the spaces where we are. And that it's completely optional to upload things as well, that it's not a must, but we can see it as a fun way to share as well. I mean, we have the initiatives, but not without all the text for the initiatives, more like, we did this, do you want to do it? This is how you do it, and so on. But I just wanted to just give one heads up that if we upload this also to Notion or any other space, like if we take photos that is not ours, that is from other online sources, you know, we have to be really careful that we write that this is from Pinterest and others. So there's no risk that someone comes back and like you steal and use stolen our photos and so on.
I have one idea now. And how about we add external links of YouTube from YouTube or whatever? In that case, maybe even Excel would be enough. And then in the last column, which is about description or something, we just add links.
I strongly agree with that. Links are better than photos.
Thank you. I mean, we have already gone 3 minutes past, so I don't want to keep you any longer. But please, if you have any more this type of input on how we want to, because the idea is, of course, to have a resource list for you to be able to see what the other ones are doing and to get some inspiration. So it's not something that we want to like make mandatory or force upon you. It's supposed to make all our life more fun and inspiring. So it's really good if you have more of this type of input, like how we can organize it in the best way, then let me and Julia and Fanny know, and then we can see how we can set it up in the best way. And I will discuss with them if we could put it in Notion instead, and how that would look like. It feels like there was one more thing I was thinking of saying, but I've forgotten about it. So hopefully it wasn't anything important. Thank you so much today, especially to Arpine, Robert, and Maté. It was really great presentations. And I've also recorded it. So Esmeralda, you can also see it from the start if you want to. I will post a link later on. And then next week, please invite as many as possible for your teams when we will have the discussions on the kind of the results from the participant survey, and see how far we have come and what are our kind of remaining challenges and what do we want to focus on, and what are our kind of results so far. Thank you so much. Hope you have a really nice Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.